My boyfriend is losing his friends and family, and it is all my fault. My BF, 24M, and I, 27F, have been together for a little over a year. Age gap is 5 years, in case someone is wondering. Our relationship thus far has been great. He is kind, caring, funny, clever, and an amazing person to be with. We dance together, ballroom, he got me into gaming, which we do together, and we have been living together for some months now. At the beginning of our relationship, BF, let's call him Nick, introduced me to his rather large friend group and his family. Things went great. I was welcomed with open arms, and we spent a majority of our time in the presence of his friends and some of his family. His friends would often comment on how Nick and I were a great match and how they loved seeing him so happy. I had become very close with the core of the group, with regular sleep-over parties and plenty of inside jokes. After a few months, however, things started to change. His friends, who coincidentally were also his cousins, started to accuse us, but mostly me, of stirring the pot, trying to break up some of the couples in the friend group and being negative. They didn't tell us, they said all this behind our backs. They started to get cold and distant to me at first, but later they got cold and distant to Nick as well. Nick is the kind of person that would walk through fire for his loved ones. Nick rarely complains and is often the life of the party. That quickly started to fade away when his friends wouldn't even so much as greet him when he would enter the room. I kept asking over the months if there was something wrong, if anything had happened, or if we did anything wrong, and the answer was always something along the lines of no, nothing is wrong, it is all in your head. So, I would drop it and try to have fun, despite my concerns. Nick and I would often talk about the parties/gatherings we had attended on our way back home. I made sure that I wouldn't express any negative remarks about his friends or family to make sure that he had the chance to focus on the positive. But more and more often he would start by saying that he felt left out and that his friends would act distant and never explained why. At a party a few months ago, Nick was asked to step outside to have a conversation with the core of his group. They started saying that he had changed, that he had become very negative, and basically that he shouldn't express his opinion, and that I had changed him for the worst. Nick was flabbergasted, but they talked it out and we thought that was the end of it. Side note, Nick wasn't used to being heard or seen, and he would rarely express his boundaries, needs, opinion, and what he wanted. He and I created a safe space for him where he would be able to practice all that, because his thoughts and feelings matter. But he wouldn't be negative, he would just say no if something would cross his boundaries. He was so proud of this growth, and he felt so safe with me, my friends, and my family, where he was encouraged to be his full self. So, yes, he did change, but I don't think this change was a bad thing. 3 weeks after the conversation at the party, things blew up. Nick got the cold shoulder again, and no one explained to him why. He didn't understand what he had done wrong, since the last conversation ended well. But then he got the explanation. Nick and I had allegedly tried to break up couples. I would have turned him against his own friends, and he was no longer fun according to them. Nick was shocked and heartbroken, since we had never tried to break up other couples. Why would we ever want to do such a thing? His cousin told him that I had manipulated everything and that Nick was being manipulated by me as well. Again, I didn't do anything of the sort. If anything, I had stayed up all night to help one of the couples resolve an ongoing issue. I had reminded them the entire night that they loved each other and that this was just miscommunication which could be solved by listening to one another. But apparently, that would have been a manipulation tactic to get them to turn on each other. I swear this is as bizarre as it sounds. I am still dumbfounded. This and a lot more was thrown in Nick's face. So, after that night, Nick had decided he wanted to cut all ties with his friends, since he felt like he was not allowed to express himself. I told him he should at least talk to them and give them the chance to resolve this matter, since they had been friends for so long. It took some time, but we mended what was broken with his friends and agreed on keeping some subjects out of the conversation. And we thought this would be the end of it all. But no, Nick's cousins and sisters started stirring the pot and told horrible and untrue things about me to his parents, which in turn caused a lot of friction. We talked it out with his parents, and I got a good relationship with MIL until last weekend. His cousins had told Nick's parents that I would have said something horrible about hurting SIL, and now his parents are apparently angry with me. Nick found out when he went by his parents for a cup of tea today. Nick defended me to his parents, explaining how he was present at the time and how he never heard me say that at all. But his parents, especially his father, couldn't let it go and started to add small frustrations to make me look like I was horrible and selfish. Stupid little things, like making people wait for 5 minutes while I got a snack for those people, or not being present at breakfast. I sat across FIL, etc. Nick was furious about this all, but calmly defended me and came back home, where he told me all about this conversation. He then added that he wants to go and see with his family, especially his cousins, because he is done with them trying to find ways to make me the villain when I didn't do what I was accused of. I told him to reconsider, but he is done. This situation is a summary of some of the things of the last year. There's a lot more nuance to it, but to add that would be to write a book. The worst part is that his friend group will get wind of this all as well, meaning that all the mending of the past few months might be for nothing, as they might be inclined to just pick a side instead of going after the facts. I am so torn. I don't want Nick to be apart from his friends and family. He said this was going to happen, whether I would be in the picture or not, since he thinks his personal growth would eventually set this off anyways. He also says they did the exact same thing with his ex. I honestly don't know what to do anymore. I have tried integrating, changing, adapting. I have become quiet in the presence of his friends and family, while I am normally an outgoing and social person, but I am afraid that I might say or do the wrong thing. Being myself was wrong, adapting to the group is wrong, and I don't know what I can do to make it better, especially because I didn't do what they said I did. Sorry for the long post and the fact that it is all over the place. I am just feeling stressed and anxious, and I hope someone can help me here, as I believe the Wikimaniacs might understand this. I am honestly starting to doubt myself. I feel like I'm going insane. TLDR, BF's family and friends loved me at first, then they turned cold and distant towards BF and me, said we did things we didn't do. We resolved this situation, only to end up in the same situation again, and now BF is going in see with them. Edit to update. Thanks everyone for the kind words and support, it means a lot to me. A lot of you said that there must be someone behind this all. And both Nick and I think this might be the case, but whoever it is, they are cut off, we're sure of that. A lot of you also said that he is outgrowing his toxic environment and that I should support him. Don't worry, of course I will support him. Nick asked me not to reach out to any of them, so I haven't and I won't. We agreed that if there's going to be any contact with the people involved, it will be with Nick and not me. He wants to keep me out of this and make sure they can't get close again. For those of you who said is changing for the better and breaking free of his toxic environment, I agree. I'm still getting to terms with the whole situation, but I will do my best to support him as well as I can. I also decided that this has been enough drama for now and we need some positivity to balance this out, so I will be taking him to his favorite restaurant tomorrow so we can have some quality time away from the drama. And if he's down for it, we'll go go-karting after dinner. He loves it and has been asking to do it again for a while now. I love him so very much. He is an amazing person and he deserves the best. I don't want us going crazy over this like his ex. About his ex, the situation was quite similar. She came into his life, everyone loved her for the first few months, and then things started to turn. They grew cold and distant and started accusing her of doing things she hadn't done. She started to doubt herself, changed herself, and got so stressed out that it put a lot of strain on their relationship. They eventually ended things for several reasons, but this was one of them. I don't know a lot more about this, since he doesn't talk about it a lot. This is most of what he explained when I asked him what he meant when he said that they had done this to his ex too. Thanks again for all the comments, kind words, and encouragement. I have read every single comment and I try to respond as much as I can. You're amazing, Wikimaniacs. Edit to update, I just heard my story on the Reddit on Wiki Podcast. This was so encouraging, and hearing someone else read my story helped me to really step out of the situation. I heard my story like it was any other Reddit story I would hear on this podcast. And then hearing what John, Josh and Sean had to say about it, it made me smile. I was able to laugh at the jokes and see the situation for what it was. The change title helped with that as well. So, thank you very much to everyone. P.S. The age thing was not meant for Sean, haha. I was all over the place and I always like knowing the exact age gap myself. Nick just turned 25, so we are not breaking Sean's rule anymore, winky face. My brother's fiancée and her family ditched us. This is my first post, so sorry if it's chaotic. Are my family and I wrong in this situation? My brother, 32 male, has been with his now fiancée, 32F, for about 5 years. They just got engaged in February 2023. They met in law school. My parents have met her about 4x and I just met her officially, like actually spent time with her for the first time, last year for about 3 days. They do long distance as she stays with her family in another state and my brother lived with us. He got an opportunity elsewhere so he just left a month ago. Everything has been okay. My brother tried proposing last November/December, but the dad wouldn't meet us for a family vacation where he would have surprised her and proposed. Her father canceled the vacation completely. My family was upset because we wanted to be there and support my brother on this huge milestone. We understand it's not about us, but my brother wanted our family and hers to be there. 3 months later, my brother had to fly to where she lives to propose because that was the only acceptable thing to do according to her mother. And before you ask, yes, my brother asked her father for his blessing prior to him even picking out the ring. Fast forward, she hasn't been accepted into any program and must wait another year in order to reapply and hopefully get in somewhere. In April, her family came down for a week to vacation in our state. 3 days into their vacation, the family spontaneously decided they're going to drive down to where we live, about 3 hours away, the next morning, so it was brought up by my brother's fiancée that we would be meeting her family for dinner that afternoon. My brother called off 2 days of work to spend with her and her family. The day of, my brother goes to meet her family for breakfast and go to the beach with them while my family worked and we would see them later for dinner. My brother even texted me midday asking where he should take their family for ice cream. Around 4:30 p.m. my dad texted in our family group chat that she is also in, asking where we are meeting for dinner, and she responds, "We're heading back." Sorry, we were all taken aback. This would have been the first time both families were meeting. Our family is very close and we have been wanting to meet her parents/siblings. My mom immediately called her and asked why they were leaving, and she said her sister had got a rash from the beach and her dad was tired. But when she sent that text in our family group chat, she never even told my brother. My brother found out like we did, through text message, that they were leaving even though he was sitting with her whole family dumbfounded. My brother felt disrespected and that it was disrespectful to my family as we arranged our schedules to meet them for dinner right after our workdays. They drove back to Disney the same day and remained there for 3 more days. My brother and her didn't speak at all for 4 days. She never apologized to my brother or my family. We offered to meet the family halfway and get a hotel for the night just so we could meet them, but they never agreed anyways. Without even apologizing for the situation, that same weekend she proceeded to try and get my brother to fly up to where she lives for a bridal expo that was in 3 weeks. We have barely spoken in our family group chat since this whole incident. Her father tried claiming the engagement ring under his insurance so they could have it if anything ever happened, aka if they broke up. My brother's fiancée texted my mother on Mother's Day saying she couldn't wait to be her daughter-in-law and that she has the best mother-in-law. My mom wasn't too happy considering she never apologized still, but of course. Texted her back saying nice things and asked if she could speak to her. She just liked my mom's message. My mom ended up calling her randomly weeks later and respectfully confronted her. She still didn't apologize and for ditching our family and was passive-aggressive. I get you can't make your family apologize, but you could at least say sorry on behalf of their actions. My brother's fiancée also decided she would not be following my brother to where he now lives. So for at minimum another year she will work for her dad and do distance with my brother. My brother tells us she keeps asking him for our budget for the family, even though when they got engaged she was the one who said that they wanted to pay for it themselves with no help. Plus, her father always slips in how rich they are. Not saying my family wouldn't contribute to the wedding, but after everything that has happened, my family is reluctant to, and my brother hasn't asked either. Nothing is decided on for the wedding yet. Side note, my brother is Christian and his fiancée is Mormon. She follows the religion strictly: no alcohol, caffeine, no leggings, no tops that show her shoulders/cleavage. He is not allowed to sleep in the same room or same house as her. They have been doing distance for more than half of their relationship.